Hi everyone, welcome to Deep Thinker. Today we will talk about methods to control an AGI.
Hey Daddy, given how AGI could fail in many unpredictable ways, do you know if we have any ways to control an AGI?
Yes, there are numerous ways we can try to control an AGI, but they all have limitations and may not work as intended. Let's first talk about the first and second principal agent problems. First principal agent problem happens primarily in the development phase, where a principal, which is a human entity such as commissioner or sponsor, appoints a human agent, which can be scientists or programmers, to act in the principal's interest. As a common problem we have seen in economics, this dynamic would need additional safeguarding resources to ensure agent is acting in the interest of the principal. These safeguarding techniques include personnel background checks, version control, and oversight from independent monitors and auditors. In addition to the first principal problem, we also face a second principal agent problem during the operational phase, where a human principal appoints an AGI agent to act in former's interest. Unlike in the case of first principal problem where a solution in economics can be sufficient, the second principal agent problem is an unprecedented challenge since we are dealing with a superintelligent entity. We would need to implement controls before the system becomes superintelligent.
Daddy, what kind of controls are you thinking about that can address the second principal agent problem?
Good question, Selinka. There are two novel techniques we can use here. First is capability control, which places limit on what the superintelligence can do. The second technique is motivation selection, which aims to control what the agent wants to do. Let's dive deeper into the four capability control methods, which are boxing, incentive, stunting, and tripwires. There are two specific boxing methods. The first method is physical containment, which prevents the system from interacting with external world other than restricted output channels. For example, the principal can ensure that the agent gets no access to physical manipulators inside or outside a metal mesh box. The box, however, does not prevent the agent from sending out radio waves by manipulating its own circuitry in particular patterns. To prevent this, the principal can also place the agent in a Faraday cage which blocks its electromagnetic signals with the outside world. It is worthwhile to consider other physical vulnerabilities that exist beyond current human understanding. Physical containment can also significantly restrict the functionality of the superintelligence. Now, the second boxing method is informational containment, which restricts what information is allowed to exit the box. For example, one can isolate the agent from information communication networks, and allow it to communicate through only low-bandwidth interfaces such as a single-bit outputs and answers teletype. The biggest disadvantage with informational containment is that the agent, when sufficient intelligent, can persuade human gatekeeper to provide it access to higher bandwidth communication networks. Since human beings are not secure systems, they are prone to being hacked by the superintelligent agent. The implications of these challenges means that the boxing method is at best an auxiliary control method that needs to be combined with other methods to be fully effective.
Dad, are there other methods we can use to control the agent's capability?
Yes, the second method of capability control is using incentives. Incentive methods place agent in an environment where it finds instrumental reasons to act in a way that promotes the principal's interests. There are three major types of incentive methods. The first type is utilizing social integration and balance of power to control the AGI, by placing the AGI in diffuse social forces to force the AGI to collaborate with other agents. The problem with social integration is that it will not work on agent with decisive strategic advantage, especially in medium or fast takeoff scenarios, since these agents will have the power to morph social interactions in their favor. This would only work in multipolar scenario where a number of agents would have a similar level of capability. The second method is to provide a stream of cryptographic reward tokens to the agent as long as AI is cooperative. These tokens are sequences of numbers serving as keys to ciphers that were generated before the agent was created and deeply integrated into its motivation system. They are extremely desirable to the AI and would be designed in such a way that if the agent tries to seize them, it would be automatically destroyed. As a result, the AI would cooperate when the risk of defecting is higher than the risk of cooperating. The principal can even give the AI a bounded utility function with a high discount rate, and thus discourage the agent from planning long-term, which jeopardizes short-term rewards. The problem with this approach is that if the AI calculates the risk of defecting to be lower than the risk from the operator, the AI can decide not to trust human operator and seize control of the reward mechanism directly. The third type is anthropic capture, which is a hypothesized control method in which the AI thinks it might be in a simulation, and so tries to behave in ways that will be rewarded by its simulators. If the AI with resource-satiable goals believes that it would have a higher chance of achieving its goals if it does not attempt to escape the simulation or contravene the goals of its creator, it would be more likely to cooperate.
Cool, Daddy, I learned a lot today. Are there any other capability control methods you can teach us?
Yes, the third method of capability control is stunting. Stunting limits the system's cognitive faculties, or its access to information. It can be done by running the AI on hardware that is slow or has limited memory, and restrict the information inflow to the system. It can be very challenging to strive the delicate balance between stunting too much and stunting too little. Stunting too much will limit the AI's usefulness, while stunting too little can risk the AI being too intelligent to find ways to escape control. Information control can also be problematic. If you only provide AI limited narrow domain information, the agent can leverage its general background information to reason and derive lots of useful information from it. For example, if we provide a sequence of DNA to the agent could infer about state of human knowledge, methods and instruments to study peptides, fabrication technologies needed to create these instruments, the state of society that can conceive such technology, what kind of control methods would be attempted, and how those methods can be defeated. Therefore, information deprivation is at best an auxiliary method to regulate the rate of capacity gain in intermediary AI.
Dad, it seems like the boxing, incentive, and stunting methods you talked about so far are only partially effective. Are there any other methods we can use to control an AGI's capability?
Yes, let's explore the fourth and final capability control method known as Tripwire. The concept of Tripwire involves around performing diagnostic tests on an AI system and shutting it down if we detect signs of dangerous activity. Then the programmer can scrutinize recordings of the suspicious activity, and either make changes to the AI's code before restarting it, or abandon it altogether if the problem is deep-rooted. This method can be useful as a temporary guard in the development phase, but it is unlikely to be effective in the superintelligent phase where the agent is intelligent enough to undermine the tripwires devised by human intellect. There are three major types of tripwire. The first type is a behavioral tripwire. AI designers can set up honeypots, which are strategically placed temptations for a malfunctioning AI to commit an observable violation. For example, if an AI is designed without the desire to access the internet, we can create a fake Ethernet port and see if the AI will attempt to access it. The second type of tripwire involves monitoring the AI's ability. If the ability of the AI is suddenly improving drastically or is unexpectedly high in certain domains, the system could be paused or shut down for further monitoring. The third type of tripwire involves monitoring the internal content and processes of the AI. For example, modifications to the AI's final goals, beliefs, plans, subgoals would be scrutinized and trigger an automatic shutdown and review. However, there can be challenges in architectures, such as neural networks, where internal states are nested in latent representations and cannot be easily understood by observing the code directly. To summarize, today we have talked about the first agent problem, where we can use economic theory and resources to control risks between a principal and a human agent. We also talked about the second agent problem, where a principal needs to control a machine agent through either capability control and motivation selection. We walked through the four primary capability control methods, including boxing, incentives, stunting, and tripwires. In future videos we will do a deep dive into motivation selection methods as a second way to control an AGI. To make sure you don't miss the video, don't forget to subscribe to the Deep Thinker channel and click the bell icon. Thank you for watching the video today. If you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also check out other videos in the Deep Thinker channel. See you next time.